From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Good morning, security gang. Happy Monday. I hope everyone had a good weekend. A little unplanning on my end. I'm gonna have to be honest with all y'all this morning, because with celebrating successes, you also have to acknowledge your failures. I think that's only right. So I'll tell you what happened. So my wife and I spent a great weekend together. Saturday night, we put our little guy to sleep. We bring in the babysitter. We head out to go kind of, a night out to town, but really just go sit with a friend of mine who's a world-renowned chef here in the Atlanta area, and kind of hang out for a little bit. Come back home, go to sleep, wake up Sunday morning, and guess what? It's daylight savings. We didn't know that. We forgot. Totally forgot. So we woke up thinking it was 8. It was really 9. It kind of threw off our whole day on Sunday. I don't know if that's happened to anyone. If it is, let me know in the comments. But if you have similar stories, I love to hear those war stories of just people kind of like, I've never done it in my 4 decades on this planet. I've never done it. But here you go. There's a first for everything, including that. So with that being said, this morning, I'm going to need a coffee cup cheers. Got my double espresso coffee cup cheers, y'all. Brilliant. Let's get started. We've got a packed show for all y'all this morning, including a big data breach hitting Japanese telecom service provider NTT Communications, warning that almost 18,000 corporate customers had their information compromised during the incident. The breach was discovered back in early February of this year, but the exact date when they gained access still hasn't been determined. On February 5th, NTT discovered their facilities had been subject to unauthorized access. On the 6th, they've already confirmed that some information may have been leaked externally. At this time, they don't believe that any of it is personal information, but rather corporate customer information. The data they know has now been leaked out includes the customer name, customer's representative name, contract number, phone number, email address, physical address, and service usage information. NTT says contracts for corporate smartphones and mobile phones provided by NTT Docomo were not affected by the incident. The company discovered the breach, blocked the threat actors' access to the system by the next day. However, its investigation revealed that on February 15th, the attackers pivoted to another device within the NTT network. That device was promptly disconnected to prevent further lateral movement, and they're now confident they've contained the threat. I don't speak Japanese, so I can't tell you what's on here, but it's kind of the overview of the attack, of what happened. I'll stick that into Chat GPT and see if we can get it in English. Being a large telecom provider in Japan, NTT is the latest target here. A few things about this and why we lead off with this story this morning. Obviously, with Salt Typhoon and now this, we're seeing an increase of threats towards telecom companies. And while in the US, we still don't have a lot of information over Salt Typhoon, as the FBI and the DOJ are still kind of doing their work on the investigative side of those attacks, we're seeing this become even more troublesome globally. Japan, the UAE, Israel, in Europe, Canada, and Argentina, Brazil, everywhere this is happening. So obviously there's something greater going on within the telecom networks, and something that needs to be addressed by those organizations. Multiple botnets are exploiting an Edimax IP camera vulnerabilities whose existence was disclosed this week by CISO, according to Security Week. CISO published the advisory on March 4th, informing users of the Edimax IC7100 IP camera that devices are affected by CVE 2025-1316, which is a critical command injection issue caused by failure to properly neutralize request. An attacker can achieve remote command execution through specially crafted requests. Edimax is a networking solution provider based in Taiwan, and according to CISA, the products affected by the Zeroday are used in many commercial facility sectors around the world. That's why CISA does not specifically say the vulnerability has been exploited in the wild, but it does note that organizations observing suspected malicious activity should follow established internal protocols, report findings to CISA for tracking and correlation against other incidents. So there's that aspect right there. And again, these IP cameras, these security devices that maybe we don't think much of on the cyber side, they also partially, they've got to always be isolated on their own network, and you've got to segment the network. You've got to kind of put them on their own with their own access, that really you can't do anything out of there. You got to put those security cameras and anything IP, IoT related type of devices on their own island. And the only way to get into that island is within your secure access, whatever you choose, whether it be a secure tunnel, a secured VPN, remote access, whatever it is. That's got to be the method of doing it there. The White House Cyber Director's Office is set to get a whole lot more power, according to experts studying the Trump 2.0 White House. The Office of National Cyber Director was established back in 2021 by Congress. It was kind of really supposed to be the lead voice around cybersecurity policy. That was the whole point of it. Under the Biden administration, that role kind of started there, but it never really got cemented. It appears that President Trump intends on fulfilling the full potential that Congress has given this executive role under the executive branch. So I've been critical of the nomination of Sean Kyron Cross to lead the office, simply because he's not really a cyber person, but rather kind of an activist and a lawyer. And so we'll see, but he's widely expected to win confirmation in the Senate, meaning President Trump is looking at this role as being very policy driven rather than anything else. And maybe a lawyer there is what he's looking for in order to deal with the legality. So Kyron Cross served as a deputy assistant to the president and senior advisor to the White House chief of staff in Trump's first 4 years when he was president, where he provided counsel on a variety of issues, including matters related to national security. He's also worked closely with the president's niece, Laura Trump, when she was leading the RNC. While he has no experience as a cybersecurity leader, his close personal ties to the president are considered a significant asset for the office, which has now been overshadowed by the National Security Council. The Biden administration cycled through a whole bunch of people there. Obviously, the last person being Harry Cocker, the NSC Deputy National Cybersecurity Advisor, and Neuberger essentially ran cyber policy for the Biden administration. She left before inauguration as Trump eliminated the position. And that wasn't anything about it. And he just eliminated the position there as well. So the White House is kind of looking at this as being the quarterback role, according to several people, including Brian Harrell, who served as the Assistant Secretary for Infrastructure Protection at DHS during Trump's first term. Would key initiatives be to remove bad policy and regulation? And like last time, more regulations will be dismantled than introduced. And that's a good thing. Essentially, get rid of some of this duplicate. Maybe, someone said we may not see data breach notification on the federal level or a federal privacy law. I actually think that this role might be the person that's going to get Congress to get those two bills finally through and be able to get President Trump to sign those bills. President Trump's trying to shrink the power of the federal government. Obviously, whether you like it or not, that's not the discussion in the chat. The discussion is that good for cybersecurity as a whole? It's good to have federal oversight as long as it doesn't spread to multiple departments. And speak to any CISO. In the power industry, you're reporting to NERC and FERC and the state and federal and DOE, and you've got 5 CISA and so many others. Like it's burdensome and it's cumbersome, and the government should be able that I can go to CISA and CISA should handle it. That should be the role of notification. Report the breach to CISA, let CISA then spread that down and so forth. And just make it really easy to do that, because one, that reduces cost, that helps with efficiency, that reduces complexities. And by the way, it saves money. And if we're in the business of saving money, like the Trump administration is saying it is, that should be a no-brainer. All right, folks, real quick, Level Zero Conference is coming to Atlanta. Here's a little message of the event for anyone interested in attending. We'll have a discount code available, by the way, in the show notes.
Are you prepared to deal with the constantly evolving cybersecurity threats to your operational technology systems? The Level Zero Conference is happening from March 31st through April 2nd and is designed to meet the unique needs of enterprise teams responsible for safeguarding the critical cyber physical systems at the heart of their organization. Level Zero offers hands-on workshops led by industry leaders with years of practical experience. Register today and secure your spot at levelzeroconference.com.
So go check it out. I'll be there, by the way. I think on April 1st, we'll be recording a lot of content at the event. So go check that out. All right. So that kind of turned off there. All right. Let's get to some crypto, because I'm sensing a trend here where now we're seeing that we're actually able to recover crypto, something that I haven't been able to report on now, 2 back-to-back stories, essentially in back-to-back weeks, where we're seeing the recovery of some crypto assets that were stolen. This one, $23 million in crypto linked to the theft of $150 million that were stolen from a Ripple crypto wallet back in January of 2024. They believe these attackers breached LastPass in 2022, were behind the attack. Despite the threat actors' efforts, law enforcement traced down $23,604,815.09 of the stolen digital assets between June of 2024 and February of 2025 through some of these crypto exchanges like OKX, Payword Interactive Inc., that's Kraken, Whitebit, Ascent EX Technology SRL, F Trader, Fixed Float, and SwapSpace, Rabbit Finance, aka CoinRabbit. The forfeit complaint unsealed by the DOJ is the first spotted by crypto fraud investigator Zach XBT, reveals that Secret Service agents who interviewed the victim believe the attackers could have only stolen the crypto using private keys extracted by cracking the victim's password vault stolen in the 2022 breach of LastPass. So this story gives us a few different aspects to look at it from one perspective. One, law enforcement, the Secret Service have gone pretty good at finding crypto, meaning they've now been able to close the technological gap and the knowledge gap, and they're there. And the DOJ's got the power to help them. And with, I think, what the Trump administration is doing around digital currencies, that's even going to get better over time. So, like, congratulations to Secret Service. Second thing, you're noticing that because we're able to recover, now we understand that this specific attack was a result of a supply chain attack of LastPass in 2022 that led to the theft in 2024. So they sat on this for about a year or a little over a year before they actually launched the attack. And that, folks, just tells you the time frame of something from the moment it's stolen to the moment it's taken. And the fact that that specific user never changed, never updated anything, even though he knew that was stolen in LastPass, is something there. And for LastPass, this is significant because now you understand the results of that breach. Now you can actually attribute it to that. The only way they could have gotten it was from that. And so there's that. And now that's a fact. So you've got that. On Friday, the DOJ also announced the seizure of the online infrastructure used to run the Garntex, a major cryptocurrency exchange accused of facilitating a multi-billion-dollar laundering and sanction violation scheme. The department said it worked with law enforcement partners in Europe to seize 3 different domain names, the Gartnex.org, Gartnex.io, and Gartnex.academy, effectively shuttering the crypto exchange linked to the ransomware extortions and services to transnational criminal organizations, including some terrorist groups. According to court documents, Gartnex processed at least $96 billion in crypto transactions since April of 2019, a huge laundering operation. In tandem with the shutdown, the DOJ also unsealed indictments charging a Lithuanian, Alekseyev Beskovich, and Russian Alexander Miraserta with money laundering and conspiracy to violate sanctions and operate an unlicensed money transmitting business. The department alleges that Beskov served as Garantex's primary technical administrator and was responsible for maintaining the exchange's critical infrastructure and reviewing transaction. Miraserta, identified as the exchange's co-founder and chief commercial officer, is accused of helping to conceal the illicit activities taking place on the platform. So now they're wanted there. If you live in one of the major U.S. cities, you might have been getting these phishing text messages on your phone telling you that you've got parking violation or unpaid invoices or tolls or whatever the case may be. These attacks are heavily rising. It's something one wants to notice and something you should definitely share with your teams. These text messages you get that say you have an unpaid toll or an unpaid parking ticket, not true. The government never texts you. They just don't. They're horrible at their job. In general rule, federal governments and state governments and local governments are terrible at what they do, just by nature of them being government. So with that being said, that's not a real thing. This is a good awareness kind of thing for within your organization. If you get it, it's not it. It's phishing. It's a good thing. Let's get to some insider threat stuff here. So on Friday, FBI Director Kash Patel announced that 2 U.S. Army soldiers were charged with selling military secrets to China. To 2 active duty and 1 former Army soldiers were arrested on Thursday for allegedly stealing classified materials from the military and selling them to conspirators in China. Royal Duan, who served in the military from 2013 until 2017, and First Lieutenant Li Tian were charged with conspiring to commit bribery and theft of government property. Yen Zhao, a battery supply sergeant, faces similar charges, as well as conspiring to obtain and transmit national defense information to an individual not authorized to receive it. Both Zhao and Tian were stationed at the Joint Base Lewis McChord near Tacoma, Washington. According to separate federal grand jury indictments, between 2021 until 2024, Duan and Tian, health services administrator at the base, conspired to sell classified information, including some technical materials. Tian sent the documents to Duan, then passed them abroad and paid Tian a fee. Specifically, Tian was tasked with gathering information relating to U.S. military weapon systems, including information related to the Bradley and Stryker U.S. Army fighting vehicles. Zwan, who was described in the report as responsible for the supplies and equipment of his brigade and over $55 million of Army property, allegedly began disseminating sensitive materials back in July of 2024. Messages documented in the indictment show him arranging to procure and ship hardware, including dozens of encrypted hard drives and other military computers. So that just tells you that as SecDev Hexeth is cleaning up the DoD, very good reason for it. Very good reason for it. Our DoD is filled with people who do not like our country, and they have no purpose whatsoever to be donning the uniform, wearing it, or being anywhere part of our national defense. A software developer who was found guilty of sabotaging his ex-employer's systems by running custom malware and installing a kill switch after being demoted at the company. Davis Lau of Houston, 55 years old, was a software developer for an Ohio company called Eaton Corp from November of 2017 to October of 2019. Eaton Corp is a global power management company that provides electrical, hydraulic, and mechanical solutions for various industries. Following a restructuring, Lou lost responsibilities at his job. Following corporate restructuring in 2018, Lou lost responsibilities at his job, was found guilty of sabotaging his employer's computer systems and network with custom malware and kill switches. The malicious activities included a code that ran an infinite loop, exhausting a production server's resources and eventually causing the system to crash and prevent user login. These infinite loops were designed to exhaust Java threads by repeatedly generating new threads without proper termination. On the day he was directed to return his company laptop, Lou deleted encrypted data. The DOJ says internet search queries revealed that Lou had been researching ways to elevate privileges, hide processes, and quickly delete files. A jury convicted Lou of causing intentional damage to protect computers, a charge that carries up to 10 years in prison. The sentencing date has not been set yet. And finally, Cobalt Strike, that's widely used by a variety of cyber criminals. According to Fortra's Microsoft Digital Crime Unit and the Health ISAC that formed a partnership 2 years ago, those efforts to come together and cut down the use of unauthorized copies in the wild by Cobalt Strike are now down by 80%. The partnership is one of the many efforts from the cybersecurity industries and law enforcement agencies that are focused on curbing abuse of Cobalt Strike, which is a popular tool for the ransomware gang. So that's good news there. That's it for our show this morning. We'll be back tomorrow here, 9 a.m. Eastern live with all the latest and greatest. Until then, have a great rest of your day. And most importantly, y'all, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.